My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're talking to the cast of Daisy Jones and the Six. The show is based off an adaptation from a book from Taylor Jenkins Reid. Daisy Jones and the Six follows a rock band in the 1970s from their rise in the LA music scene to becoming one of the most famous bands in the world, and explores the reason behind their split at the height of their success. So to talk about the show, here's Josh Whitehouse as Eddie Roundtree and Sebastian Chacon as Warren Rojas. I want to start off with, obviously you guys have been sharing so much on social media in terms of Bandcamp. I spoke to Ryan to learn a little more about what it was like and how he taught you guys. What was the major difference you found between Bandcamp versus becoming a band on a television show?
I guess in Bandcamp, we had so many resources. We had just the benefit of being in Sound City, having, if we needed something. I remember this one song I needed like a tambourine attachment for, and like there's all of like anything really was at our disposal. We had the best people like training us and whatnot. I feel like when you're a band, obviously it takes much longer because you're just figuring it all out yourself. You're figuring out your sound. You're figuring out like, what can I use? What can we try to sound like a real band with? But yeah, I mean, we had so many resources.
Yeah, and I feel like in Bandcamp it was a very safe space. The difference for me is that there was no cameras rolling. We were there to figure it out and kind of experiment and get to know each other, and it was all about sort of a very developmental stage. Whereas on set it was like go time, and it was about putting everything that we'd learned into practice.
And then I also saw on Instagram, so I'll go with you, Josh, first. You did a lot of work to create Eddie. I was laughing because when you showed your rant, your videotaped rant that you did, like to try to why you would hate Philly. You showed the book that you did, and I even thought it was really interesting that you pulled out the bass notes over the course of the songs to try to pull out, his arc and what he would be saying and feeling. So why did you go to that extent? Like, how did that help you as an actor prepare for him?
I mean, I think a lot of actors do that, and I think everybody on the show probably did all the same amount of stuff. I just decided to start sharing it because I thought it was kind of cool content, and people have been really enjoying everybody posting content. And I've been scrolling through my behind the scenes footage because they've been wanting us to dig it up and everything. And I found this clip of me doing this rant, and honestly, that was like, one, I was practicing my American accent. I wanted to make sure that I felt like I didn't just have to rely on the words that I've practiced from the script, and that I feel like I can talk as Eddie. And I spent months doing this. I was like, every time I walked my dog, I would start having like a play around with this rant and being like, just fucking Billy, man. And like just sort of finding what this feeling would be. And then like I'd find that I'd run out of words, or I'd be like, well, what is the answer to that? And so it's just, for me, it was about being able to kind of really understand Eddie so that I could kind of hold his anger a little bit and kind of understand him better, really. And then the music, it was like there was so much music to learn. And I'm a musician anyway. This is just kind of how I would go about learning a song, because I want to listen note by note and just write it out. And that way I've got a Bible, if you will, that I can always kind of go back to. And it's like, no, me and Ryan figured this out. We know that these are the notes that I need to be playing. So then I just it's just how I learn music, really. And then the backstory, it's just smart to think about it, really, But I loved doing all my sort of background work.
I loved it. I love that you're putting it online because I find it so interesting.
Right.
Sebastian, for you, what was it like? Because I know some people, everyone uses a different method. So for you, first of all, I love your character because he's so like rock and roll, like the typical. And I even love in the beginning where you're like talking on a yacht, like it's just like so rock.
Yeah, right.
But I wanted to know what you did to kind of like prep for that, and also you did a great job of making it not corny. You weren't like a stereotypical like rocker. There's so much depth to the character, but I just love that he's like, yeah, dating a supermodel. I'm talking to you on a yacht. Like it was so cool. So I wanted to ask you how you did it.
I appreciate that. I think, it's interesting, like in the way that Josh every day was trying to find ways to be like unsatisfied and like let down by somebody or like hurt by something. Like on set, I was just trying to find something to be tickled by, like I was like playing with props. Like, I was like doing like 20 push-ups before every take, like trying to keep the energy up and like running around. And like, I remember I went in for ADR to this character to like, like fix any lines and whatnot. And I literally was just in there just recording, like giggling for like, like an hour. Like, can we get like a little like wild giggling here? Like, how about like a, it was like, you kind of forget about it. Like, the gig that I did after this was like a much more like serious film where like my character's so like troubled. And I'm like, I kind of forgot how to do this. Like every scene in Daisy, like I'm just having a good time. And I feel like, it comes across really like authentically because I kind of was, like I'm trying to just tap into that part of myself that like, we're all having a good time here. We're like running around, like, playing with little drums and like rain sticks, on set and shit. And yeah, especially the scenes on the boat, like, I was sitting on there and they have me in this little sort of like fat suit kind of thing, and I have a second chin and all this, and we were actually on like this fancy boat, and like the captain is standing there like watching me do my thing, and and I'm just like, could I get a beer? Could I have like my shades on? Could we just be like, and you have to say it straight down the barrel, like look into the lens, and like to keep it natural is like, kind of weird, but it's fun, it's all just like just a fun little adventure, and that's how it is for Warren.
And I have to say, when that came out, by the way, that you had the chin thing, I was like, damn it, that's not fair, because you still looked good. Like, if I had two chins, I would look like ridiculous and like huge. And I was like, he still looks good. I didn't even notice that it was like a double chin until someone pointed it out. So that's not fair. So just
I remember when I first tested the old age makeup, I also initially had like a big gray mustache, and I sent it to all my friends, and I'm like, whoa, like this is a little, I'm kind of into this,
What do you think makes music, particularly with bands, so heightened that sometimes the members might not make the best decisions, or maybe they finally do make the best decisions for them?
I think music is really personal. I think that in a band, every member of the band can feel like they're really laying a piece of themselves onto the track. With Warren, he feels like he's doing a job. He's a technician. I come in, I lay down the beat, and I go home, I have a cigarette, whatever. But like I know with Eddie, like he takes it really personally, and like everything that he puts in, like if it's not paid attention to, it's like really painful. And so people can have their differences about that, because we're all coming together, and ultimately people will celebrate this thing, and like it'll be personal for them. And if it's not the way that I wanted it, then I could be really hurt by that, and there's a lot of disagreements about like the sound that we all have like as a singular product.
I think in many bands, I mean, I've been in my own bands, I have been the front man in my own band, and in those situations, just talking from personal experience, I mean, like, I know I was coming with ideas, and I know that I was very, very, very specific about what I wanted to hear and how I wanted my ideas to be made. And I think that that's often a dynamic, not always. I think there's many bands that are a lot more collaborative, and well, I'm not saying that mine wasn't collaborative, it was, but I'm saying like in terms of like, there's usually someone with the ideas, and then that person's kind of channeling that and making that happen, which I think can often lead to those dynamics, which is echoed in the show, where Billy is the one with these ideas, and other members in the band that are all kind of feeling differently about that. And I think maybe that's kind of where some of that heightenedness kind of comes from, and where people can then start to feel left out, and you have all these like emotions running awry and everything.
So it looked like you guys had so much fun. I know there was like a rumor floating around about you guys possibly performing. I know schedules are kind of crazy. I know like Will's doing a play, like everybody's doing stuff. Do you think that you guys would ever at some point come together and just do like one night of just like Daisy and the Six live music and just jam out what you guys did on the show?
Yeah, it's possible. Nothing is impossible. I think that I know from speaking for myself and for Josh and for Will, like we have played these songs so much to the point of like I literally sit at a drum kit and I'll start playing with a song. Like I mean, I hadn't heard these songs in a very long time. When the show started coming out and I heard "Look at Us Now," and I'm like, oh shit! And then this is where I'm like, do do do. And like I don't even know the lyrics to the song sometimes, but I know my lyrics, which is like like, and so I can pick that up. I can do that at any time.
Yeah, I'm the same. When I sing along to the songs, I often end up just singing the bass lines. We had singled out tracks, so for the bass parts, it would be like just the drums and the bass, and so I did just the bass.
I listen to that as well. That was I did
as well. Yeah, and I drive around like trying to just be like,
yeah,
trying to like just sing the bass lines so that I really felt them before I was then trying to play them on the bass. But yeah,
that's actually something that they say for drummers. That's the same thing. Like they told me the same thing, that like instead of like playing what your body wants to play, like you should sing the so that you're thinking about it and you're not just like letting the tape run. Then you have bad habits. That is cool that you do that as well. Huh?
Yeah.
We're learning new stuff every day.
I was calling it whack-a-mole. That game, but it's like you're trying to, or like Guitar Hero, and you're trying to make sure you hit every note as it comes.
Right.
Doing it.
And then also, obviously, the show, I don't think this is a surprise to you guys, shot up to #1. I mean, the show is like the most watched right now ever. The album, all of that kind of stuff. So I want to know what that feels like for you guys. And then if there's anything else that you would want to say to the fans.
I mean, it's a crazy thing because I don't know. I say this all the time that like we've been working on this project for like over 3 years, right? So I've been telling people, "Oh, I'm doing this show about this band, whatever," for so long that it seems like I've just made it up at this point, and like I haven't been doing shit the last 3 years. So like it's bizarre to see people like not only interacting with it and like appreciating it, but really like loving it and like really loving like our work and like the music that has just been in our heads. You know, like this all feels kind of just surreal, and we're really grateful that people are appreciating it and are, you know, giving us this outpouring of support.
Yeah, and I think echoing what you said, I'm just, we've been working on this so long, to be able to share it and kind of unleash what we've been doing has been one thing, but for it to be so well received is just very gratifying. It's been very close to our hearts, and we're just glad that everybody's enjoying it. And it's, it's tricky doing a book because like people love a book, and I think like trying to do justice to that and trying to tick everybody's boxes is always going to be difficult, but it seems like everybody so far has been really happy, and it's just been, I feel very, very lucky to be involved.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to Josh and Sebastian talk about their characters, some of the social media that they've been sharing, and how much fun it was to film the show. Daisy Jones and the Six premieres on Prime Video on March 3rd. It contains 10 episodes that will be released weekly in batches of 2 or 3 episodes, so make sure you go and check it out. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.